hauling ass downstairs to get my hat to cover a receding hairline. Jeannie makes fun of like I didn't have my fucking eyebrows shaved off on live TV.
How are they growing back? Are they growing back good, dude? Or are they like
they're coming back a little bit? Like
Can you zoom in
like,
so I can see them?
They're fuzzy, you know. They're taking a little bit longer than I think they should have. I was worrisome though. So when you started shaving, I remember I had a flashback to one of my deployments, and
thanks, Jeannie.
Jeannie, thanks for being on time. It's the least you could do. I remember my buddy Mike was telling me when we invaded Iraq, everybody just shaved their head because it was easier than trying to get haircuts downrange. But he said it never grew back after that.
Really?
So he shaved it in 2002, and then probably because of the metal and the weapons of mass destruction, the uranium and whatnot, it only grew back like horseshoe style and like very thin.
So, like George from Seinfeld.
Yeah, maybe they were already balding.
Meg, when you got into the first one, I was like, oh no, I'll be like Mike. What if they don't go in properly?
They'll grow back in horseshoe shape.
Dude, when she cut, because I was right there when she cut you, I was just like, oh. But it's okay. We were slightly inebriated, so you didn't feel anything.
Slightly. I'm pretty sure all of us. I was the least drunk of all of us there.
I was definitely feeling
on live feed, Meg. You don't have to lie to people. That's ridiculous. Everyone, thank you for joining Liberty Risk Podcast. Shut up, Meg. I'm trying to do the intro. Everyone, thank you for joining Liberty Risk Podcast. I'm Billy.
And I'm Hugh.
And I'm Meg.
Once we get to episode 100, we'll be able to cut about 25 good minutes of Billy telling Meg to shut the hell up.
Yeah, God.
I'm looking forward to that day. I honestly will put that on.
Oh, shit. This is great.
My sister says, we were all just talking about your hairline last night. Yeah, well, that's fine. I was bragging to my friends how I'm the only child in our family that had a kid out of wedlock. What?
What the fuck?
Speaking of people having kids, Billy, I hear you're quarantined with yours.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, so listen to this shit because I'm going to the next school board meeting and I'm telling you I'm getting on the local news. It's going to fucking happen. So and I hope people in my area watch this shit because some asshat decided to fucking trot their little fucking dumb child to fucking school. And unfortunately, they're in one of my kids' classes. Knowing they were sick with the fucking coronavirus, and goes, here you go, little Susie, have a great day at school. Make sure you cough on everyone and sneeze into your hand and touch everything, you little shit stain. So then, Sunday night, it's 10:30
in there about
at night.
Infected crotch fruit. I'll think of it.
Yeah, it's there. I'm telling you, it's there. So about 10:30 at night on Sunday, we get a call. I get a call directly from the principal, who I happen to be friends with, and he's like, "Hey, listen, we just got notification from the health board because it takes a couple of days from the state health board that, and they can't tell me who it is, but that a child in my oldest daughter's class had corona. So the entire fucking class, including the parents, have to quarantine for 14 fucking days now.
What about your youngest daughter?
I kept her home anyway, just in case, trying to be a good citizen.
Well, yeah, you can't then send your younger kid,
your daughter, to school because now I don't know if we have it.
Yeah.
And now I can't send her to school because if we do, then she's just going to infect people, and I don't want to have fucking killing someone with some fucking bat-eating disease on my soul. So, what are you doing?
You want to know that it's your fault.
They're all going to be zombies.
Really want to know that he killed them.
Can you preempt the zombie comment before you start doing this fucking thing, like you're airing out your boobs or something? Like, what are you doing?
There's not enough to air out.
Oh my God. So now I'm stuck quarantining for 14 fucking days. I'm telling you, I'm going to the next school board meeting because not only that, but I got contacted by the health department today to ask them to verify the information they were given by the school.
What does that mean?
So I found out because I contacted the school back. One of the secretaries decided to contact the board and release all our fucking personal information to the state health department so that they have a record of who was in the vicinity of being infected without without my fucking permission.
Oh, so they're contact tracing you without your consent.
Yes. So I told them verbatim. Well, I asked them. I said, "Who gave this information?" I'm not going to say the person's name because I'll tell you offline. There's things that are going to be happening because of this. I'm sure I'll have more fucking updates in the future.
Yes.
But so and so relayed the information from the school. I said, okay. I said, I didn't give permission to do that. And the lady on the phone went, oh.
She probably had no idea it was illegal.
Oh, what? Oh, we called the wrong William Rubino?
No,
I'm sorry.
Pretty sure in North Carolina, my last name's not very fucking common.
Wow.
So.
Also, your name isn't like Buck or Larry
or Jim Bob Smith. Yeah,
it's not like there's 9 of you in the phone book listed back to back to back to back to back.
William is too fancy of a name.
So it's going to be quite entertaining because what I'm going to do is our school board streams live to Facebook and YouTube, and I think I'll just plug the fucking link in. Yeah, I know you know.
I sat in last time, made some comments.
So I think I'm going to, for lack of better words, how am I going to put this? Lose my shit on a room full of adults where this is the response I'm probably going to get.
Well, you know what I think would be fucking funny? What if your school is not the only school that did that? Imagine there are other people that like used to live in that area, or they have friends of friends and whatnot. Be like, hold the fuck up. Maybe we should call our school and find out if our information was released to the Department of Health.
Exactly. So what I think I'm going to do, you remember in the first Hunger Games movie where they got to show off their skills in front of like the fucking game creator and all that shit? And what's her name tells the kid to pick up that heavy.
I haven't seen him, but I assume you're right.
All right, so he picks up his big ass heavy weight and he just launches it across the room to intimidate everyone. So that's what I think I'm doing. I'm just going to pick up another human and just throw them at the fucking board members and go, oh, look, you're going to listen now because I'm just going to keep throwing shit.
Well,
dude, that sucked dick.
I think with as boisterous as your voice is, you'll have no problem getting their attention.
Oh, I'm going to lose my mind. This is ridiculous. And now, not just that, my kids are very fucking concerned. Like they're extremely, extremely, extremely concerned and scared.
Yeah, because you don't know which one of your friends is going to come to school and be sick because their parents did a terrible job raising them.
So, we've all expressed our
parents did a terrible job.
Yeah, we've all expressed our thoughts and concerns on what we feel about the coronavirus. As much, as we joke around, us as vets, we've been injected with so many fucking medications and diseases and all this other shit to vaccinate us against everything that we all joke it might be hard for one of us to get it. But I have a good friend who's a chief in E7 who is in the fucking ICU right now, and the dude's a fucking health nut.
Yeah.
And he's on a ventilator right now in the ICU, and his wife, unfortunately, she's been posting on Facebook, and they don't know if he's going to make it. Yeah. So you see shit like that, and it's now, it's kind of switching my train of thought a little bit because, and me and you have had this conversation. We've both done this, hanging out. When we go out, what do? We put on a fucking mask. We do our best to fucking
stay apart. Make sure you put a little bit more diligence into washing your hands. Maybe wash them a little bit more often.
Right.
Grab the fucking hand sanitizer.
Yeah. But when you fucking knowingly, and they knew because there was I can't get too far into it. They knew that their child was infected because there was too much of a delay from when they got the results to them sending them to school. So they knew they sent the child to school infected without fucking contacting anyone.
At the very least, they knew they sent a sick kid to school.
Yes.
Which even when there isn't a massive pandemic, I keep in mind, just I want to reiterate, I don't have any kids that I know of, but if I did, I would have to think in like the top 10 things that you should know as a parent. Like one of the top 10 things should be BT dubs, do not send sick children to school. Just seems like a counterintuitive.
Well, no, we have all this
concept.
protocol. We have all this protocol in place that if your child's sick, blah blah blah, all these things that they've put out over and over and on all social media outlets, email, this app called Class Dojo, letters have been sent home. This fucking family knew. I don't care unless they can't fucking read, then they need to be sitting next to their damn child in class with them and learning the same shit.
You do go to school in one of the Carolinas.
This is true. So
that sucks, bro.
Yeah, it just pisses me off because you're anyway, I really, really, really hope for that family that I do not find out who the fuck it was because it's going to be bad. I'm just telling you, I might not be a co-host on this show for a while because I'm trying to catch bail.
Well, I don't have the same kind of problems that you guys do. I went to campus today, and I know that there's 3 locations that I can get a Rockstar energy drink, and all of them were empty because they're all reach-in refrigerators.
Yes, Bryson, Secretary Meat Bus, you did this to you.
So I know there are 3 locations I can get a Rockstar energy drink, and they're all empty because they're all like reach-in refrigerators and whatnot. And that was the first time I think I was sitting there and I was like, God damn it. Like, this was even worse than not being able to sit at the bar in Virginia. Is that now, because my campus is a Pepsi campus, so I can only get like Mountain Dew energy or I think there's a NOS sitting around somewhere. But I'm talking with my Student Veterans Association because I'm trying to get like a fridge.
Justin?
Well, yes, but I'm talking to him and a couple other people because I'm trying to figure out how to get a 3rd fridge for our lounge and get Rip It to fill it. Because if I can't get my rock stars, I want a couple of Rip It's available.
Hey.
No, it's pronounced Q.
I'm talking to you. What kind of man? Do you guys remember, or I don't know if you guys noticed this, but guess who won the Rip It challenge?
Yeah, Leashes of Valor. One part of the money. Yep, they did an awesome job.
Mazel to them. Good job. All right, not a so direct transition. I mentioned the Student Veterans Association once tonight. That's the only plug that they get before we bring in our guest. Michael Duerr is joining us tonight. He works with the Student Veterans national team up there, Washington, D.C. He is a retired Army captain. He did some time enlisted Army, got it all the way up to sergeant, went I believe it's green to gold if you're Army, blue to gold if you're in the Navy. Went to college, got a degree, came back in as an officer, and has now been working with the student veterans organizations dealing with conflict resolution and transition programs, which I'm really excited to talk about. Mike, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very excited to be on the show.
Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your time in the Army before you hung up the hat?
Yeah, so, I think with anyone else, 18 years old, not knowing what to do with myself, knowing that if I went to college, I was just going to party and drink and flunk out. And figured why not join the Army, run around the woods with a rifle and play soldier for a couple of years and get money for school. So joined up, found myself posted to Germany, and literally like 2 weeks later, 9/11 happened. Oof. Like it was, I was like, oh, so this is like a real thing then. Okay, and so found myself sitting on that berm in Kuwait, ready to invade Iraq, and I think then realized, as a lot of us did, like, I have a purpose and I have this community, and like I'm doing this crazy thing that like I only read about in history books, and so really said, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this Army thing, and I remember I was complaining about my platoon leader being, just another stupid LT, and my squad leader just was tired of it and just said, shut up. Like, either go become an officer or just shut up. And being the good E4 who knows it all, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go become an officer.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking do it, bro.
Yeah,
challenge accepted.
Yeah, and so they had the green to gold program, which you can get out of your enlistment early, and then they'll pay for your school. You go to school, and then you become an officer. So I went to the Virginia Military Institute. I served in the Virginia Guard when I was there, and pretty much like knew this was in the early 2000s, 2004 into 2006. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to go right back and serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's what I did. So I commissioned. I went into armor, and became a tank commander, and then did 2 more deployments to Iraq, 1 more to Afghanistan, and pretty much quit when it stopped being fun. Or actually, a mentor of mine said, when it comes to your military service, you carry 2 bags, one for money and one for shit. And with one of them, whatever fills up first, you get out. And so
that's a good way to look at it. I mean, that's a really good way to look at it. I wish someone said that to me.
Yeah. And
shit
so
bag usually fills up first.
Yep, exactly. I was just like, I was a captain. I finished my company command time, and I always say this about it. Like I was an okay to good officer, but I was like a great soldier. And I just didn't play the politics game well as an officer. And so I knew I was going to make major, but then I was going to be like the assistant to the assistant to the assistant somewhere at like division and just like hate life for another 10 years so I could retire. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to get out and do something else. Kind of had a difficult transition of like, what the hell am I supposed to do with myself? And ended up going into security contract work. And I always describe that as my methadone to kick my heroin addiction. Of like, it's just like I went back to what I knew. Went back to like a bunch of guys that like had the same experience, and so we were just like this broken support group, making some good money. But then I realized that like that's not a career, that's not like sustainable. So I ended up in Israel. I went to school at Toby University, got my master's there in conflict resolution mediation. This was in like 2016, and then moved to Washington, D.C., got into kind of the veteran transition space and helping my fellow veterans kind of actually figure their shit out. And then a couple years later, ended up here at Student Veterans of America as their VP of development. And I've been doing that for almost a year, started in April, all actually in COVID. So it was interesting starting a new job like remotely and like virtually, but I've been able to go to the office like 3 times. So like, I pretty much know what I'm doing. So yeah.
It's kind of a big deal at this point.
Yeah.
Do you know all your coworkers yet?
I mean, so luckily I had partnered my previous job. I had partnered with SVA, and so that's kind of I found out about them. And so I knew the organization. I worked with them, and so when the opportunity to join the team as their vice president for development, helping doing their fundraising and strategy and partnership building, I told Jared Lyon, our president and CEO, that I had always kind of enviously looked from the outside in on their team. And so when the opportunity rose, I kind of jumped for it. So I had been working with most of them for fairly a little while. So I was, I knew what they were about and what they do. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to join them.
That's awesome, man. You were working on transition programs with SVA, correct?
So actually it was with an organization called the Washington Center. So I was actually managing a program connecting internship opportunities to student veterans. And that's how I got connected with SVA. And so now I just work on building and maintaining our partnerships with our, network of partners and making new ones. And of course, like fundraising and making sure our organization, our chapters are, financially stable and around for the coming years.
So we got a question from one of the viewers. I'm gonna put it up here.
Wait, the best job I ever had moment as a tank commander, like in Fury. Listen, if the Salvation Army had tanks, I'd be in the Salvation Army. Like, I mean, it's a massive 70-ton tank. Everything is awesome about it.
I can't. Oh shit, Mike, that was fucking great.
So, I mean, to the detriment of like my friends and family and my wife, if anyone's like, "Oh, you're in tanks," I'd be like, "All right, hold on, let me tell you." They are awesome. I don't think there's anything not awesome about tanks. But a moment. Sadly, I never deployed in our tanks because that's just not what we were fighting. That's how we were fighting. So I never actually got to like do anything like cool in country with a tank. But nothing beats like table 12 tank gunnery qualification and like moving, shooting, and doing all that. It's just a great thing, and being able to like put steel on target in a very real way, with a 105 millimeter smoothbore. It's just awesome.
I'm sure that was just a wonderful time. I'm so jealous.
Right? The fucking RSOs now. Every time I go to the range service officers, and they're like, "You'll be carrying a loaded weapon." Listen, bro, I know a tank commander. You need to shut the hell up. Turns out we're talking about small potatoes down here from now on.
So, but no, that's I think like one of the moments you have is, on the wildlife out on the tank range, like they're used to it. So like at night, you're doing night gunnery. You'll be looking through your sights, and it's all infrared. You can see the deer out there, and they'll just stand there, and they'll just like you'll see around like subsonic speeds just pass them by and hit a target, and they're just like whatever, and like you get in trouble if you hit a deer. So like every gunner is always like achoo, and like and you're like, oh man, like I missed, and it just happened to hit that deer, and you just like vaporize the thing.
That's Mike. That's funny you say that. When I was with the Navy's mobile security units, we went up to Quantico to Range 8. I remember so specifically, and we're setting up the 50 cals to do our qualifications, so we're putting them up on the tripods. And my chief gives us the whole brief: do not shoot wildlife. Don't shoot the fucking wildlife. Do not actively aim for them. Okay, so what happens? Our chief's showing us how to do the headspace and timing, load the weapon, because we're going through the quals. Racks it back, opens fire, first 3 rounds, right through a fucking buck. We're just like, he's like, and he turns around and goes, no one fucking saw that, and no one's going to fucking talk about this.
That's the,
You said you came on with the SVA within the last year, right? Right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so you didn't even have the opportunity to go up to DC and really kind of meet everybody in person and shake hands. Did not being able to connect with those people and go into the office, did that affect your transition from your previous job to your new one?
Not really. I think, it's kind of funny because SVA, especially with the executive leadership team, we always kind of naturally did a lot of traveling around to the different chapters. So they were already like, the organization was already kind of set up to like work remotely. And so when I came on board, this was at like the start of it all. So everyone was trying to figure it out. So like, I think we just had like a lot of meetings, a lot of Zoom sessions and Microsoft Teams meetings. And like, they wanted to make sure that like, I was like, integrated into the group the best way I can. Like I got to have like the onboarding meetings with everyone. And like introduced to all our partners and kind of start the relationship. So I never felt like I haven't been connected with any of them or with all of them. And it's funny, I've talked to all of them all the time. And I still haven't like actually met them in person, but like this, like
you guys are on Zoom calls and
you get
Skype conversations
and
things like that.
So it's been a good transition starting the new job, and now like off and running. So I don't think it was really that difficult.
That's awesome, and that hasn't affected your ability to work with these transition programs and do fundraising.
No, and I think part's because everyone's in the same boat too. Like everyone's working remotely. Everyone's trying to figure it out, and everyone's now kind of getting more used to it also. It's kind of like us just getting normalized with it. And one of the jokes I always make when I start these meetings is like, all right, are you like a Zoom person? Are you Microsoft Teams? Or are you like a WebEx? Like which chat platform or video chat form do you use? And so like, is mine like updated so I don't start 10 minutes later your call? And so, it's just rolling with it. And I think as veterans, we just adapt and overcome, and there you go. Like it is what it is. I'm not going to, wax and wane about how this is different or it's difficult or whatever. You just go and get the job done. So
one of the shining abilities of military veterans is like, oh, we don't have what we need. Okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll make it work. MacGyver it.
Yep.
So, Mike, during all of this experience that you've had now with the SVA, and then the experience that you had beforehand, like speaking with Jared Line and everything, what would you say is probably the best experience of all time that you've had with the SVA?
So it's really been NatCon. So I was first really introduced to SVA through NatCon. When I was working the other job and I was trying to recruit, student veterans to do our program, someone, a buddy of mine that's a fellow officer that got out before me, what was going to school, and he was a member of his SVA chapter, and so he's like, oh, you got to look up SVA, you got to talk with them, and so I saw that, I'm here in DC with them, and so I looked them up, I made a phone call. They're like, yeah, come on over and let's talk. And I went over and chat with them, and they said, if you really want to learn about SVA and what we do and who our members are, go to NatCon. And so I registered, went to NatCon, and I was just kind of blown away with everything that was going on there. And I was kind of the type when I got out of like, I don't know if I really like refer to myself as a veteran. I didn't wear the cap. I didn't really, do much. I just kind of like kept my head down and just.
You didn't have like your unit T-shirts and your deployment shirts for like your 8 days a week for wear kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I mean, and I realized once I got to NatCon that I kind of missed the connection and the camaraderie of just being with the guys again, kind of, so to speak. But then also realized that it wasn't like the stereotypical, like, kind of veteran group of just changing war stories and like, Reagan about the good old days, but actually like seeing my peers, go and do some crazy, amazing things after their military service, and, kind of take the next chapter in their life and apply what they did in the military and learn in the military to what they want to do now. And so that kind of like brought me around to like, oh man, maybe I was just thinking about this the wrong way. And so ever since then, and that was 2017, I went to NatCon. Ever since then, I've been going to NatCon since, and just loving engaging with the members and, with my peers and the other organizations. And there you go. So, yeah,
that's pretty great. Obviously, not playing that political game during your military career led you to this point where, and maybe this is just my impression, but people who play those games, they just sit around and end up talking about themselves and the great things that they've done with a great history of their unit and organization. And you're not playing that game, you ended up getting down to this path where now you work for the SVA with people who are like-minded. Like, listen, I can sit here and tell you day in and day out about the great life-changing World War III preventing shit that I've done, or I could actually do something that's going to benefit you.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's, it's really part of the mission of Student Veterans America is, support, support those veterans using the GI Bill, to, through, and beyond their school. And, one thing that, working at SVA and getting involved beforehand was, really the importance of the GI Bill and what veterans are doing today, with the GI Bill and going to school is really no different, and following the legacy of those veterans of the Second World War that used the original GI Bill after the war to go to school and really kind of, bring the country to what it was in the 1950s and 1960s. We always show that, the GI Bill recipients for, of the Second World War, became presidents and became Pulitzer Prize winners and scientists and educators and entertainers. And it isn't because they all, were heroes in the war, but because they served, they did their time, they took their experiences and skills and lessons learned from that, went to school and went on and did great things. And so that's the same thing that, veterans are doing to this day, going to school. And I think some of you are going to school right now too. And there you go. And it's not just because, I what I did in the Navy and I want to continue to do now, but hey, I'm growing as a person, I'm learning, and I want to go on to something else. That's I think is a powerful kind of message to put out to American society as a whole, that sometimes we get really trapped in that veteran box and that veteran label, and it doesn't show the necessary the diversity and the wide range that we are.
And we've definitely done a lot of change in the last decade and a half as far as what's going to be relevant for a person who wants to move up in the world. And because I remember when I went on my first deployment in 2010, we used tuition assistance, but it wasn't very well explained to us. And as a reservist, I had to do a lot more. It was going to take me longer to get my GI Bill benefits. And back then, I think I started using the Montgomery for my old man. And then it just kind of took longer than I think it should have for somebody to be like, hey, have you heard about the SVA and the post 9/11? Let's actually talk about it. And now we're teaching veterans how to transition out of the military better, how to write your resumes from things that maybe you don't think translate very well into the civilian sector, and using your GI Bill benefits to go get not just degrees, but certificates and licenses and training completions and trade certificates and shit like that. And changing the landscape, one, of what people are looking for to hire people, but then also what's available to you when you get out of the military, as opposed to, oh yeah, I did such and such job for however long. Now it's, well, I was able to use these benefits whilst also managing or performing duties thereof. And
well, so it's interesting. So, the U.S. government, the VA, spends about $12 billion a year on GI Bill benefits. But it spends $0 on advising transitioning service members on how to use their, not just how to use their GI Bill, but actually like how to go, like what do you want to do, what school should you go to, what major should you, how do you pick your major, how do you prepare for school? None of that's really done. And what we see, and one of the big things that we do at SVA is research. So right now, you have about 200,000 or so service members leaving the military each year. And 72% of them within 6 months are going to school or enrolling in school. Mm-hmm. And so that's the one thing that, SVA and our other partners are working on, is providing that advice, providing that support of like, we know you're going to school, we know you're going to use a GI Bill. So let's talk about, how do you actually enroll in your school? How do you actually pick a school? How do you then get ready for it? And so that's something that we work with our chapters, and that we really stress with all service members who are going into school, all veterans going into school, that even though you don't have to become a member of an SVA chapter on your campus, but just understand that it's there. You have a support network, you have programs, tools, resources that you can engage with as little as much as you would want, but they're there for you to utilize, in a community there too, to like help you through as well. So that has always been an underlining mission of SVA, and an underlining mission and support that our chapters do across the country.
I'd definitely be interested to know how many veterans get out of the military and go. What you said, 70% of the people who get out of the military will end up in college.
Yeah, so 72%. So
72. I'd like to know what percentage of them. That's a lot higher than I would have. I would like to know. I would like to know the percentage of them that started going to school and knew what they wanted to go to school for, and were also counseled about their benefits and assisted in finding what they wanted to go to school for. So I would be willing to bet that's not higher than 30%.
It's probably even less than that, to be honest. Right now, a typical undergrad will change the degree. It's like 1.7 times. They'll change their major. With student veterans, it's 2.3. And so one of the things
I changed mine twice.
Yep.
I did.
So one of the things is, to use your GI Bill, you have to declare a major before you get it. In order to receive your GI Bill, you have to declare your major. Well, for like financial aid for a traditional undergrad, they don't need to do that. You don't need to declare a major to go into college. And so we all don't know what we don't know. We have an idea of what you think you want to do, but then once you get in school and you start engaging and learning, you realize, oh wait, this isn't maybe what I wanted to do, but I had to pick something, I wouldn't be able to get in school. I wouldn't be able to GI Bill. So that's where something that we've been working with and want to expand upon is being able to provide those services to those transitioning service members to think about their schooling. But yeah, Hugh, to your point, that it's 72%, roughly 72% that go. And so one thing we talk with our partners about when it comes to like veteran recruiting, I want to hire veterans, is so 200,000 veterans, service members leaving each year. 72% of them are going to school within 6 months. So that leaves you 28% of everyone else. Well, 15% of those are officers. So they already have a degree. So they're probably going straight into the work. So, okay, you can kind of recruit them. You have another kind of 2 to 3% that are either full 20-year retirees that probably may not be looking for full-time work. And those who have, a high disability rating that they're either one can't necessarily hold a traditional job or isn't looking for work because they have full disability. So that's 2 or 3% of them. And so you have another then 2 or 3% of actual service members who then aren't planning on going to school and they're looking for work. So when I talk about like, how do you recruit veterans outside of a base or going into TAPS and doing it there? Well, your pool is pretty small.
That number got small really fucking quick.
Yeah,
Versus-
really. Jeez.
Versus just going back to wherever your offices are or corporate headquarters are or whatever, and reaching out to those schools because that's where those veterans are ending up. And also, I'll briefly mention that's slightly a generational thing too. You know, you kind of have Gen Z veterans right now, or Gen Z service members, versus I think some of us were kind of millennial veterans.
Only by the
and-
technical definition, yes.
yeah, by technical definition. But I mean, but think of a kid right now going into the military, and the reasons why they're going into the military might be
Or
slightly
something
different than
worse.
the reasons why we went into the military or why they're leaving the military. And so that's something that we do research and we talk about too, is that we're not just this monolithic group that like are all E5s, infantry, infantrymen, and there you go. But like we're just as diverse as American society is. We just so happen to decide to take that other path of service versus going to school or going to work. And so sometimes it's breaking out of that mindset. And when I talk about, oh, you need to think of us as like a Gen Z, people are like, what? Like, how can they be Gen Z? I thought they were veterans. I'm like, well, they're still young. They still are different than.
They're still born during the time period.
Yeah, like they're still influenced by what's going on around them, and we're not just like cookie cutter out of the military as many would think. So that's just another aspect of like of what we do as Student Veterans America, and what we talk about is that, we are that diverse group and we are doing things. 60% of student veterans are earning degrees completely unrelated to what they did in the military. And so sometimes it's not about, oh, we have a really great MOS skills translator, or yeah, we need to make sure we translate all those skills. It's sometimes you did your time and you want to go do something else. Doesn't mean it wasn't helpful. There wasn't anything to take away from it, but like, hey, I'm moving on to something else now. And what can I do to do that? And that's a deeper conversation versus like, all right, Hugh, make sure you put team building and leadership on your resume because that's what's going to get you hired in the job that you want to do. It's a good soft skill, but like, there's a little bit more to it.
So a really good thing that I heard about recently, and you mentioned it slightly. So there is not an SVA at my university, but I signed up I wanted to start a chapter. I don't know if I'll be able to because I'm graduating soon. But I received an email recently to sign up for the 2020 NatCon, which I think Justin posted a link in our comment section for that as well, so people can sign up. But can you please tell us about this upcoming 2020 NatCon?
Billy, did you click the wrong button again?
Nope, that is on his end. Unfortunately, it looks like we lost his feed.
I wanted to hear about NatCon. Because I don't know if you guys will go, but I'll go alone.
Hold on, he's back. He's back.
He's back, yes.
I got so excited I accidentally hit a wrong button.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I was like, let me tell you about NatCon. No. So
that's strike three, Mike.
So NatCon is our national convention. We hold it every year. This year, NatCon 2021 is going to be virtual, February 19th and 20th. I'm sure we can post links in the chat as well. But really, this is an opportunity for student veterans, our partners, anyone connected to the military, to come to come to a convening of like-minded community. Learn how to grow, build, sustain your chapter. The importance of that chapter can have on your college campus, as well as learning to be a veteran advocate. Advocating for veteran issues, as well as your own professional development. So, have it be engaging with our partners from NBC Universal, Disney, Raytheon, Prudential, Booz Allen, Amazon, so on and so forth, about internship opportunities, employment opportunities, but also just networking for those programs, resources, tools that will kind of give you that industry expertise and insight to what you want to do, upon graduation. We also, really, want to build within our student veteran chapters, those chapter presidents, those leadership teams to being those leaders, to develop their leadership, and beyond. And so it's a great opportunity, like I kind of mentioned before, it's a great opportunity to get introduced to what SVA is and our partners and what they do, but also for those who've come before this year as a virtual event, having a different experience. And so one thing we're doing with NatCon this year, with it being a virtual experience, that it isn't just a one-for-one translation of an in-person to a virtual meeting. Let's just have a bunch of Zoom sessions and speakers and panelists, but actually try to use the online platform in the virtual setting to create more engagement with your community, with fellow student veterans and chapters, but also then have those opportunities to kind of engage with our partners in a little bit more individual one-on-one way, since it's no longer like, you crowding in a room trying to like grab hold of this person, but be able to make those contacts and network and get mentorship, as well as, kind of stay connected in a new environment that, for all we know, going to be going on for a lot longer than we had anticipated. So it's really a great kind of springboard for the rest of your year to get involved with certain opportunities, as well as stay connected, while we're all in this kind of virtual space.
Do you guys know what we can expect to hear from special guests and speakers, like, as far as topics are concerned?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest thing is going to be living virtually, and how do recent graduates deal with the hiring space and the virtual hiring space? What does that look like, per industry? How are the industries adapting to this? But then also kind of like veteran health and well-being of like managing living in kind of virtual space now and staying connected with your peers and support groups, and maintaining those meaningful contacts. And then I think the second part too is, how can those chapters on the college campuses right now, be inclusive, be welcoming, and be an ally, be a leader in the ongoing discussions, and not being political, not being charged or anything, but just being a part of the discussion of equity and social justice that's just being discussed, and how as veterans they can fit in that space with their unique experience and connection that they have. And so that's something that we're exploring and digging more into and want to be supporting. And so that'll be kind of two areas that we'll be looking, we'll be providing more and more of those discussions through NatCon, but then also as well as just your always needed professional development opportunities, always needed advocacy when it comes to veteran issues. Our government affairs team is very active up on the Hill when it comes to maintaining access to the GI Bill, but also not compromising the value of the GI Bill. For future generation of veterans. You'll be kind of surprised, kind of the discussions and questions always being asked of what is the effectiveness of the GI Bill. Do
people actually ask that?
Well, I mean, it's with anything in the government. Well, with anything with the government. Well, a great example is last March during the start of COVID, when schools started going online, it triggered within the GI Bill kind of bureaucracy that if you choose an online school, you get a cap on tuition and a cap on the BAH if you choose online. Well, when schools started going online, it just started automatically triggering because that was the regulation for the bill that, okay, well, we're going to online school now. Well, of course, that's not the student's choice. That's the reaction to COVID. And so in 9 days, we advocated and got a bill passed through the House, changing that restriction in the bill to allow over 500,000 student veterans to receive their full tuition and full BAH, for school, and basically giving them access to $6.2 billion. Because as you know, the schools were still charging full tuition. despite going online.
No, I didn't definitely.
Why
not
would they
get-
stop doing that?
Yeah.
I'm still
So-
salty about this subject.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily saying, oh, they're going to take away the GI Bill, but it's those kind of issues that people don't necessarily realize, or universities aren't necessarily realizing until it's happening, that like we needed to get, then have to go up and advocate on all yours behalf. Because a little bit of the nuance, you can get a little bit of inside baseball. So the VA administers the GI Bill payments. Well, the universities have a really good system set up with the Department of Education to handle all the student loans. I mean, the loan payments to pay the tuition. They have a whole process set up for that, and it works really good. Well, there's no process set up for the GI Bill payments to go into university. So it really comes down to the VA certifying official and just the knowledge that university or school has to make sure that happens. And so a lot of times we always work with is that the school just isn't knowledgeable, or the VA just isn't understanding the necessary kind of bureaucracy within the university system that's different from each state to administer those payments. So a lot of times it's just us troubleshooting and problem solving those kind of administrative things.
That's a hell of an undertaking. All those students receiving all that money, and then middle of semester when everybody thought, hey, we're good. We got everybody taken care of. We needed taken care of. We can focus on a couple of these problem areas. And then all of a sudden, hey, shit, log back on. Turns out we're fucked. We got to go and make some changes.
Over the summer months, I know my school did not pay the full BAH to the students because everything was online. And I actually had the conversation with my school saying, hey, I didn't get paid my full BAH. And they were like, well, you were online. And I'm like, well, if I had the option, I wouldn't have been online. They're like, well, your classes you took are only offered online. I was like, so you're telling me an internship is offered online? And they were like, oh, I haven't heard back from them yet, but the SVA honestly has been a godsend to me personally in helping me kind of navigate that. And the school actually wanted to listen to a degree of what was going on. So it was super helpful, still not resolved fully, but that's kind of the power the SVA has. I would have known nothing about it had Lauren Augustine not come on here before and discussed it with us. So I have you guys to thank for that. And
Meg got all hot under the collar, started making some phone calls like, listen to what the fuck I heard.
Oh, I almost cursed them out. I was like, listen here, lady.
So that is a perfect example of what we do to support our student veterans, but also the knowledge that we can bring to the table when it comes to advocacy for that. So yeah, that's great. Follow up with Lauren and me, Meg, and we'll make sure that we can try to get some things done for you.
That's awesome, Mike.
So, Mike, I got one more question about NatCon, man. You said it's so, like everyone knows, we're going all digital. There are still going to be guest speakers. Is there going to be an increased ability for persons watching and attending virtually to ask questions and get their questions answered?
Yes. So the nice thing is NatCon this year is going to be free to all student veterans to register.
That's my favorite word. It barely beats that discount.
That is thanks to our partners, Raytheon, Prudential, Wells Fargo, Boeing, and many others that are supporting all of you by allowing their sponsorship dollars to be utilized for you all to go to free. But yeah, so I think a really good point is with a lot of our breakout sessions and even engaging with our exhibitors there, you'll have the opportunity to ask some real questions, make some connections, and get some answers that are specific to you or what you're looking to do or what you're kind of coming across looking for answers. And I think that's a nice little opportunity when it comes to the virtual space. You can make those kind of connections, keep up with it, versus like being in a crowded room full of people and you might get a business card and you and like
microphone, maybe their table when this is done.
Exactly. And I've been guilty of it being an exhibitor at NatCon too. Like I meet like hundreds of people. I'm like, and I'll meet them again for the first time next NatCon. I'll be like, I just can't remember everyone I meet. And I always kind of prompt them, like, when you email me, just like give me a little background on what we talked about so I kind of jogs my memory of who I talked to, because I'll talk myself hoarse over there.
Same thing, but just with Billy and Hugh.
Nice, yeah. It's a little memento thing you got like tattoo on them, like.
Turn this off. I'm done with this. Well, Mike, thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate you stepping in for Abby. This has been great. We're really excited for NatCon coming up in February. I'm glad to hear that it seems like, even though it's unfortunate we're going all digital, it seems like there's going to be an expanded platform for questions to get answered. We can't wait to have you back either during or after NatCon, talk about how it went and see how you guys are moving forward in the spring when hopefully the COVID has subsided and you can actually get in the office, meet your coworkers.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
yeah. Well, Meg, Billy, Hugh, thank you so much. This was great. Speaking with all of you, it was real fun. And yeah, I'll be happy to come back anytime.
Good
And,
deal.
Yeah.
shoot the shit with
Thanks,
all of
brother.
you. Thank you.
You have a
guys.
good night. Stay safe.
Yep. Thank you. Good night.
Well, I'm really excited. I mean, I was really looking forward to going to NatCon in January, but it sounds like I'll be able to get more questions asked via this digital platform, which will be, I mean, not obviously a fair trade, but at least it won't be, like you said, a bunch of people in breakout rooms and you just sit there and listen for 48 hours, you know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it sounds like they got it put together pretty good, and I think it'll be a good event this year with everything
I'll be
going
really
on.
looking forward to the following year where they hopefully get to go back in person and utilize both the digital platform as well as the in-person face-to-face kind of stuff. I think that'll be a really cool integration to see happen in the future.
Yeah.
72 fucking % of people getting out of the military going to college.
I believe that. I
number.
believe that 100%.
I do.
Oh,
I
I mean, yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe what he's putting out. But Jesus, I
just
thought it was like 40.
because like
Oh, no, I
if
totally
you
thought it was
did
that.
actual active duty time when you guys get out or got out. You know, did you or while you were on active duty, like, did you realize that many people that were getting out and not extending their contracts were going to go back to school? Or there's two very
No.
different.
Go ahead, Meg.
I was gonna say, I think almost every single person that got out of the Navy that I knew, they went back to school. I think less than a handful did not go back to school when they got out. And I know, actually, I think the majority of people who didn't go back to school were chiefs and up. But those people were
They already
retired.
probably
and
had
then-
degrees.
Yeah. They were retired, and then on top of that, they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna start my own home business, woodworking."
That's
And
what
there are
most
like
of them
3
did.
people that are woodworkers.
I'm gonna
That's a
make
big-
park benches and yard signs.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, have fun with that.
A lot of these groups I'm in are like, oh, hey, what do you guys think I should sell this for? Nothing. Who the hell are you? Mazel, you bought like one lathe and a miter saw from Lowe's. You're not a woodworker. Calm the
Oh,
fuck down. Oh, you found
God.
epoxy this shit.
What is it? One of those little like book stands, or is it a shelf? Like,
No, the big one I see a lot is like people making flags. And I'm like, if you saturate the market, then nobody cares. Sorry. And I'm not paying $150 for
register.
I'm not paying $150 for your potentially garbage piece of
Kind of like
woodwork.
the flag that Billy's got.
That's actually, yeah. That's
That looks like a
actually
really
nice.
well-made one, though.
Actually, I was just gonna say it actually really is. I did a ton of research on this one.
Yeah.
So it's that one's actually not trash, but there's some that are just like, what are you fucking doing? Like,
Yeah.
But it was
It's
weird.
just-
It's funny you say that because when I was transitioning out, I didn't know very many people that were. Oh yeah, first thing I'm doing is going to college. I think a lot of people I knew were more.
They wanted to grow a beard.
Well, I came from a different community. It was a lot of people. Just community in the Navy. A lot of people went straight to the police academy, or they applied to other. Like a lot of them were doing homeland security stuff like that because at that time that was really big and it was easy for the master at arms or military police to transfer right into that.
Was a good substitution for formal education. They had practical experience,
Yes.
as well as some formal classroom training with C schools and extra qualifications and certs and shit like that, right?
Yeah, so like some of the locations also where we were stationed on your off time, like I was a reserve officer at a few local police departments because just take Mayport for example. Mayport just at the end of my time there, the patrol sections went to a 4-on, 4-off schedule because what they did was the police union fought for that schedule and to keep the schedule continuity and keep the same people on shift, they also fought for us as the military to get on that schedule. So I had a 96 every week.
Nice.
What?
But on the other end of that spectrum, we were working a minimum of 12s on those 4 days, a bare minimum
So
of
you're working
12s.
48 hours.
You're still working your
Or
full
96.
shift.
Yeah.
So we had
Whatever.
that extra time to become, I worked at so many locations. I had another job, I had another full-time job. I mean, I was working. That was in Mayport.
And he's saying like while he was doing the Navy stuff, he was on the same shift. You're saying you're on the same shift as Mayport Police, so you not only worked with and for the Navy, but you worked with and for Mayport Police.
Yeah, we worked side by side
okay.
with the DoD federal police officers because that base just happened to have concurrent jurisdiction with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office because of the land agreement. The Navy didn't own the land at Mayport; they were leasing it.
Sure.
So it was. That's right, Josh. This is old.
Mayport Mafia.
Mayport Mafia. So yeah, it was just a different setup. So for my community, it was really different because it was always, people were applying to local police departments, or I'm going to go back home. I joined the Navy to do this, or I joined the military to do this type of law enforcement, and then they went back to their local or their hometown. I had a lot of people from small town America. Go and like
those departments were never going to need you to have formal education. They just wanted you to be willing to. I'm willing to accept very little money and also do very little work because there's not a lot of people here.
Yeah, as long as you brush your one tooth and you press your uniform, and you're good to go.
Well, I've told you guys before, the myriad of times I've transitioned off active duty. The first time I remember it was this really shitty transition in Kuwait. I remember like the chaplain said something, and I can't even remember what anybody else spoke to me about at that time. I think we were just so happy to be going home. And then now 3 days of your transition is with the Department of Labor, and they help you get your LinkedIn set up and your e-benefits profile and your resume. Yep. Then they do interview prep and whatnot. And then usually somebody comes and talks to you from the Yellow Ribbon program or talks to you about your GI Bill benefits and what you can get for it and what you can get out of it. Just the amount of information, the information hasn't changed, but the delivery has definitely changed. And like I said, I think that I don't think you could make a very strong argument that you don't need a degree to be successful anymore. I'm not saying that every field needs a degree, but I think you'd be hard pressed nowadays to find contributing organizations to the society and the economy that don't want you to have some type of formal education past a certain pay grade.
Yeah.
And your time in the military, like we've talked about it translates. You just have to figure it out. I only did infantry for 16 years. No, what you did was successfully manage this many millions of dollars, this many people, and however, hopefully zero major safety mishaps. And then underneath in that education, Mortarman school is not going to translate well to human resources.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Human resources, human accounting.
I used my
human body count.
Yeah, I used my TA to go get Excel and Microsoft Word certificates.
And you have to think those people also they can put on their like quality assurance. A lot of times in certain commands, they will also offer yellow belt. So you can get your yellow belt certificate. I know FRC.
Six Sigma.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's a big one. That's a huge one. I've looked into that. And they want it's like $400 or $500 just to get like the basic level.
The yellow one, not the green.
That's what I did. We got the yellow because I had a command that offered it.
It's just like an efficiency program.
Yep.
So if you have the opportunity to get it and you don't have to pay for it, you might not even use it, but fuck it. It looks good on a fucking resume. I keep telling my brother,
it looks so good.
I'm like, Gavin, if you want to be even just a little bit more employable over somebody else, your OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 go a long way. And all those you can get those online.
But Hugh, you have to think it's Gavin.
I mean, we can't all be 10s.
This is
Yeah.
true. This is true. So
Going back, I'm sorry, real quick, Billy. Just going back to school may not be your thing, Jeannie, but a little bit of a little certificate here and there, an extra qualification that has a civilian translation or a civilian equivalency. It can go a long way when it's when it's time to hang at the uniform and get a civilian job. I was going to say a regular job, but frankly, some of these jobs are kind of garbage, and they're all switching to online, so there's no such thing as regular anymore.
But yeah, no. So what we got Thursday? We got anything crazy going on Thursday?
I think I'm drinking.
Yeah, well,
I'm drinking too. Hopefully, I'll be more awake. These 4
If
a.m.
it helps,
workouts
I'm drinking less because I have a test on Friday.
oh, mazel, as you say.
Mazel, good thing.
Yeah, mazel.
Have you studied? Are you gonna pass?
I am studying, and I do think that I'm going to do very well, actually. Thank you.
Is it statistics?
No, it's not statistics. I don't have to take that crap.
Is it pre-calc?
It's the 5th time, yes.
Oh my
Really
god!
well. Honestly, I've been doing a lot better this time around than I did the 4 previous times. I mean, I still maintain I shouldn't have dropped it during the spring because I could have 100% just gratis got a fucking C, big old 74. I was talking to somebody today. I was like, C's get degrees and undergrad is a scam. So whatever gets me to the courses that matter.
Oh my god, I can't.
Hey, you know what? Something real fast for your GI Bill. So say you want to switch majors, but you've already been doing your major for a really long time. Just add a second major.
Oh, I
added 3 majors at one point.
I made that mistake. I was 3 classes away. I don't even think it was 3. I might have been 2 classes away from having an associate's degree. And then I started using my GI Bill and I claimed a major. Wrong. 1.5 years left. None of that other shit counts towards what you want now. Oh, man. I was mad. If you
got to claim both majors. As long as you claim that major. You can only have 2 at a time, though. I
didn't know that that's what I wanted to do at the time. So, keep in mind, I've been to 5 universities. So, community college, whatever. After the 4th one, it wasn't until the 4th time that I knew what I wanted to do. So, up until that point, I was taking courses towards just a general AA. And then the university was like, oh, you want to be an engineer? That's cool. We'll go ahead and file this for your VA claim or your GI Bill thing.
Yep.
They came back and they're like, turns out 3/4 of what you've done doesn't count. And no, you can't unclaim just to get a 2-year degree. So if you're already at that point, you need to measure that shit. Is it worth just getting a 2-year degree and then using your GI Bill benefits? Because keep in mind, you have the Pell Grant and financial aid. Just go get that fucking 2-year degree. But if you're sure you want to go for it, claim that shit early so you don't end up wasting time.
Yep.
That's true. That's fact. That's fact. Don't do what I did and have a 4-year gap in between when you're like, oh, I'm just going to take the semester off. And then 4 years later, you're like, fuck, I was supposed to go back to college. Don't do that. Yeah. Well, I was active duty though. So, but
I just want to say really quick before we close the show.
Oh my God.
You said
I know. I'm sorry. Go look at the NASCAR driver's photo of the toaster strudel he put on Twitter.
Can you put it up, Billy?
No, I'm not putting that up on the fucking show.
It's a swastika.
Type in NASCAR driver, swastika, and click Google Images, and you can fucking see it. I'm not putting it on the show.
I tried to say it was a W, and it was out of context. It was
W my ass.
It was backwards.
What is he, dyslexic?
Dyslexic Nazi. That dude is whiter than hell, too. He looks like he might be trying to be the poster child for the new Aryan Brotherhood.
He seems like someone that was always driving into the wall. I thought we could make right turns here on this track.
All right, that's all I got for today.
All right, everyone, join us. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Join us Thursday, same time, 7:30. Also, go to our page. We got a new logo. We'd love to hear your comments on it.
Really.
It's right there in the top right. It was
Yeah, I got the right side.
Oh, look, you guys are so cute. This way.
Took a guess.
Right there.
Well, usually I'm like this, and I'm like, no, this.
Yeah, you do. Yes, it's the reverse Vanna White. Anyway, all right, we'll see you guys Thursday night. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being on time, Jeannie.